Why do you, sir, want to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I'm happy to be here to be the first person to open this presidential debate. And I must say I'm here wanting to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria because the economy of this country is in crisis, experiencing stagnation, and in some cases, the downturn has been so terrible that I believe that there needs to be an intervention.
This one falls under our program of eradication of poverty. And we want to start eradicating poverty by, first of all, if we win this next election, giving all Nigerians a plot of land of 60 by 120 as their national ID card. Because no matter what you want to do on earth, I think you have to start with the land. So the land, we will start our economic program and eradication of poverty in Nigeria by allocating land to every Nigerian.
2003, a pivotal year in Nigeria's democracy, just 4 years after the country stepped out of decades of military rule. The stage was set for the second democratic presidential election of the Fourth Republic, and with it came one of the most unusual and some would say overlooked debates in our political history. On one side, Chief Christopher Pere Ajunwa, businessman, lawyer, and presidential hopeful. On the other, Major Mojisola Obasanjo, medical doctor, army officer, and yes, the ex-wife of the then-sitting president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Their face-off wasn't just about policies or manifestos, it was about personality, conviction, and a clash of perspectives at a time when Nigeria was still learning what open political context really looked like. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to our channel, and you're watching our review of the 2003 presidential debate between Chief Christopher Pere Ajunwa and Major Mojisola Obasanjo. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's get into it.
In asking a question, an answer by the candidate shall be for 3 minutes only. Now, response by the other candidate shall be for 1 minute only. Candidates are not allowed to ask questions direct from each other. The moderator may permit more time for a particular subject, but each candidate has 2 minutes only to explain and to respond. Only the moderator has this discretionary power. Candidates must focus only on issues and be positive. There shall be no personal attack or negative attack on any person or on each other. Language shall be presidential, dignified, and that which enhances the good image of the office of President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Candidates may choose to sit down or stand throughout the duration of the debate. Candidates shall exhibit comradeship, friendship, love, patriotism, and be truly happy to see each other. And finally, members of the audience can applaud the candidates when they come on stage, as you did earlier. But you cannot applaud in the course of the debate. We expect members of the live audience with us here to be restrained and orderly throughout this debate. Thank you very much. Well, the questions for this debate were given to me just before we came in. We have not discussed them before this moment. So what I'll do is I'll open them here, as you can see. And the very first question goes to the presidential candidate of the Liberal Democratic Party of Nigeria, Chief Christopher Pere Ajunwa. Why do you, sir, want to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Your Excellency, presidential candidate of the masses movement of Nigeria, Major Mojisola Obasanjo, retired. Your Excellency, my running mate, Malam Nasser Mohammed Abubakar, distinguished panelists, all other protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here to be the first person to open this presidential debate. And I must say I'm here wanting to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria because the economy of this country is in crisis, experiencing stagnation, and in some cases, the downturn has been so terrible that I believe that there needs to be an intervention, not through the recycling of the leadership of the past that has never given any meaningful progress in this country. Our economic growth is in shambles. Of over 40 years of independence, we see that this country, the downturn of the economy is growing worse and worse. We are endowed as one of the 10 top countries resources-wise, and yet we are one of the 10 poorest nations in this world. I believe that unless there is quick intervention, there will be a problem. A country that by all standards has all it takes to be able to feed its masses has one of the greatest rates of unemployment in the world. A country which has serious attendant environmental problems that have been bedeviling us for the past since 1938 to date without solution. A country that there is serious desert desertification in the north of this country. The north is now under siege by desertification. And this government does not even have a plan, not to talk of how to tackle it. The north is going to be wiped out unless there's intervention from a government that has direction, from a government that is new, from a government that is totally going to give a new orientation to this country. In the eastern region of this country, you have gully erosion. In the west, the Atlantic Ocean is almost sweeping out Lagos, and they have no answer to it. Insecurity of lives and property in this country is a problem that is now facing us even more alive than before. I believe the Liberal Democratic Party is coming up with something to give a change that Nigerians have been yearning for. That's why I want to be president of this country.
Madam, why do you want to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? 1 minute.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the poor masses and the downtrodden of our great country, Nigeria, I congratulate the organizers of this historic and unique presidential debate, which is second to none in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. Let me also express our appreciation for the rare opportunity given the masses movement of Nigeria to let Nigerians and the entire world explain its masses-oriented welfareism and beneficial programs, ideologies, principles, and policy thrusts by which we hope to revolutionize the act of selfless governance and service to the Nigerian citizens and the world at large.
Well, Mrs. Obasanjo, the UNDP Human Development Report 2002 places Nigeria as one of the poorest countries in the world. If elected president, how do you plan to eliminate poverty in Nigeria?
This one falls under our program of eradication of poverty. And we want to start eradicating poverty by, first of all, if we win this next election, giving all Nigerians a plot of land of 60 by 120 as their national ID card. Because no matter what you want to do on earth, I think you have to start with the land. So the land, we will start our economic program and eradication of poverty in Nigeria by allocating land to every Nigerian. After the allocation of the land, then we go to agric, which is hunger. We are giving every member of the family, the father one plot, the mother one plot, and the children. I know they will only build on one and use the rest to farm. With this, we'll be able to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. That of shelter, that of hunger, and that of self-employment for every Nigerian.
Chief Ajunwa, your response to this question.
Yes, to eradicate economy, I've said that there's a total need of reorientating the economy of this country. I believe very strongly, in fact, indeed, the Liberal Democratic Party believes that the country's move towards economic development is zero, nil, totally absent. The reason is because you find out that when budgets are prepared, they are never implemented. We know that one of the poverty incursions into one of the problems of this country is that the total insincerity of government in implementation of budgets. For instance, when salaries are made available, certain people put it in the bank accounts to the extent that the people are even deprived of their salaries. You find out that that is where economy woes of an individual, of a family begins. I believe that there has to be reorientation of the economic development of this country.
The next question is for you, Chief Ajunwa. The prices of major consumer products are ever escalating almost daily in Nigeria. Now, how do you propose to stabilize the prices of major consumer products if you are elected president of Nigeria in April?
If I'm elected president of Nigeria, the instability of prices emanates as a result of the fact that our naira is unstable. There is a linkage between the naira and the consumer products. Indeed, this linkage is such that unless the naira inflation is tackled, you find out that consumer products will be inflating every day. I believe that the major aspect of my economic plan is to tackle the aspect of the naira, which is on the slide, which is cascading every day. So the plan that I will have is to ensure that we make the naira stable. And once the naira is stable, the food prices themselves will become stable.
Major Obasanjo, you have a rebuttal for this?
Our program to eradicate poverty, to bring down the prices of foodstuffs, I think we have included it in this provision of land and self-employment, whereby the remaining land left, we will now go into mechanized farming, and we will encourage each state to specialize in their own special type of food that will be planted at the agricultural level. And we will make sure that every state specializes in its particular type of farm crops, either crops or animal husbandry.
Mrs. Obasanjo, it is agreed that Nigeria's economy has not been doing well for almost 2 decades now. What areas of the country's economy would your party accord top priority if elected president?
Our programs and manifestos we make as number 1 the national security, because without security there can be no effective governance, talk less of having a democracy. Under this security, the military, as the backbone of our national security, shall be made to lead the police and other paramilitary units in the Nigerian security chains of command. 2, restructuring of our armed forces to make them more professionally inclined and oriented at the time, making them financially independent by allowing them to draw their grants from the Central Bank of Nigeria after prompt approvals. We are also going to encourage shelter in our program. We are trying also to re-equip and restructure the law enforcement agency with a view to integrating them and more effective in the new order. We also intend to bring in the judiciary. We want to make the judiciary to be independent. Also, we want the health sector to be independent. And after all this, then we can then go to this battle of corruption. And I'm sure by the time we get to this end, I think the sky will be the limit of our great country, Nigeria.
Chief Ajunwa, in just 1 minute, could you tell us the priority areas for the economy by your party, Liberal Democratic Party, if elected?
Yes, the priority areas of the economy of this country which we intend to tackle is, first of all, the area of infrastructure. The Nigerian infrastructural facilities had degenerated for the past decade, for the past 10 years. It is totally in shambles. We intend to build roads. We intend to look at develop the waterways, marine transportation. We intend to even develop air transportation at the domestic level. So, as a matter of fact, the infrastructure of Nigeria is the first area we will tackle. Then, when we leave that, side by side with that is agricultural development. First of all, there has to be food in every table of all Nigerians. And we are going to bring up policies that is going to reorientate agriculture itself, revolutionize agriculture, so that Nigerians will have enough food to eat.
Well, the next question is also for you, Chief Pere Ajunwa. Crime and constant threat to life and property in Nigeria are still very much with us. What programs or specific plans do you intend to pursue to arrest the ugly trend of violent crimes in Nigeria if you become president?
As President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the issue of security of life and property, which is now endemic in our society, is paramount in our programs. And I believe very strongly that apart from this fire brigade approach that the federal government now, that is government are used to, we intend to look at the basic fundamental issues that are attendant to these security problems. What is making people to commit crimes? What is making people to be armed robbers? They leave universities, there is unemployment. And those people who would have naturally would have engaged themselves in meaningful jobs have no jobs. So, and they say an idle man is a workshop of the devil. And so our youths are unemployed. Nigeria is is ranking as one of, it has a rate, our employment rate is one of the highest in the world. So we intend to tackle the fundamental problem, the root cause of the reasons why they are crime. Unless we tackle this, this fire brigade approach is not going to help us. So the basic thing the Liberal Democratic Party will do is to try and go into the root cause of the problems of crimes. Of course, we intend to also strengthen the police and the armed forces to ensure that they are doing their jobs. For instance, we do know that, like I said before, when you allocate salaries, police sometimes do not have their salaries for 10 years, for 3 months. How can you tell somebody to go and secure somebody, to tell somebody to go and secure people who have not eaten? He didn't have breakfast, he didn't have lunch, because the government, somebody in government is keeping his money in the bank account to yield profit for him, while the police is left to suffer and to guard people, the same people who employ them. I believe very strongly that the security of the lives and property of Nigerians depends on the responsibility of government to be able to provide not just facilities, but to give sincere service so that those you send can also perform their duty. I believe very strongly that this is one of the cardinal points that the Liberal Democratic Party intends to tackle. The issue of corruption that has bedeviled this country, that is making life unbearable for Nigerians, that is making the policeman to be a beggar on the street, not able to perform his job because somebody is keeping his salary somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen.
Major Obasanjo, how do you intend to eradicate violent crimes in Nigeria? In 1 minute, please.
I think the first line of action when elected shall be the national security. Under this national security, we want the military as the backbone of our national security shall be made to lead the police and other paramilitary units in the Nigerian security chains of command. We want to restructuring of our armed forces to make them more professionally inclined and oriented, at the same time making them financially independent by allowing them to draw their grants from the CBN after prompt approval. We also want to re-equip and restructure the law enforcement agency with a view to integrating them and more effective in the new order.
Mrs. Obasanjo, voices have been raised in this country about marginalization from virtually every section of the country. What would the masses movement of Nigeria do to curb this agitation against marginalization if you win the presidential election?
I know that we in Nigeria, we are one nation with one destiny. And that will be one of our priority programs, to make sure that we Nigerians, we are one. Once there is unity, all these other ethnicity or whatever will automatically disappear. That is our belief.
Chief Ajunwa, in just 1 minute.
Yes, marginalization is non-inclusive. It is discriminatory. Marginalization tends to cut off the fabric of unity of this country. And I think that is one of the greatest, in fact, it is one of the reasons why I'm in this presidential race. To tell Nigerians that all Nigerians are equal under God, and that nobody has a right given to him by God to rule forever. We intend to bring all Nigerians together. We intend to allow Nigerians to participate on all spheres of governance. There is the aspect of governance that you do not try to enthrone ethnicity in a place. For instance, we do know now that this country is being bought. The privatization now of this country is being dominated by a section of this country, by omission or by commission, whether it's deliberate or indeliberate, it is non-inclusive. I know that where I come from, by the grace of God, we produce largest oil, but we are not. We don't have any oil well. And I think Nigerians should all be part of this.
Chief Ajunwa, Nigeria has always played a very critical role in African growth and development. In fact, Africa has always been at the center of Nigeria's foreign policy. What areas would you accord top priority and serious attention for Africa if you're elected president of Nigeria?
As president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our policy is going to be inward-looking in terms of making sure that, because unless you solve your domestic problems, you expose yourself to solving foreign problems, you will be in trouble. You will fail. I believe that the foreign policy of this country, yes, we gear towards making sure that there is a balance of thought, of unity, of peace and progress in Africa, making sure that we pursue economic policies that is going to help us all. For instance, I am happy, actually, with this present government in terms of the doors it has opened to our African brothers, particularly from South Africa. I believe this is a very positive thing to do, you know, and this is one of the type of things I like. But even then, we must be able to look inwards, to look at the problems that is bedeviling us in this country. Because if you build your home and settle the problems in your home, then you can reach out to the outside world. And to reach out to the outside world, we must go from Africa. I believe in this policy.
Yes, Mrs. Obasanjo, what would be your African perspective in terms of foreign policy if you become the president of Nigeria?
As far as we in masses movement we are concerned, Nigeria's external relationship under MMN government will be as follows. As no nation will not wish the Nigerian masses well and enjoy the benefit of their labor by not supporting our programs for the masses of this country, Nigeria, under the masses movement of Nigeria's government, shall only recognize and relate well with any other nation which is ready and willing to support the masses by making them comfortable in their country. Africa shall be the cornerstone of our foreign policy. The non-interference, especially in ECOWAS, shall be our watchword. There will be ECOMOG, and it shall always use minimum force to evacuate Nigerian citizens in that country without necessarily interfering in the affairs of that country.
Well, Mrs. Obasanjo, Africa is seen to be in crisis all the time. What mechanisms would your party initiate or strengthen for conflict resolution and peace in Africa?
I think as far as peace in Africa is concerned, we believe once peace starts in Nigeria, I think it will radiate throughout Africa. And that's why we are making our main target of peace, unity, and justice. I think what is causing most of the unrest in Africa is because there is no unity and there is no justice, especially to the masses, not only of Nigeria, of ECOWAS states, and that of Africa.
Chief Ajunwa, in 1 minute, can you address this question?
Yes, the issue of resolution of crisis in Africa, if they wherever they are, is very paramount, because once there is lack of peace in a region like in Africa, it tends to permeate the system, and before you know it, you get caught up with it. But our policy, in fact, indeed, the policy of the Liberal Democratic Party in the resolution of crisis in Africa is based on the respect on the sovereignty of the countries involved. We are not going to impose our will, but we shall work towards making sure that peaceful coexistence of countries, of neighbors, exists, starting from the West African sub-region.
Well, Chief Pere Ajunwa, with global conflicts, especially in places like Iraq and the Middle East, how best can the United Nations be structured or restructured so as to respond quickly and effectively in terms of any global crisis?
The structure of the United Nations as it is, to me, is perfect. But we have seen a situation where one country, because it is large, because it's strong, because it believes that all wisdom lies within it, is trying to overrun other countries. I'm one of those who believe, specifically, that the United States of America have gone, they have ridden their horse beyond the ordinary. How can you go ahead and ensure that you have intimidated an opponent to the extent that he has even surrendered? He has even gone ahead to destroy his own weapons, even before you come, and yet you say you want to overrun this man. Everybody now knows that it's no longer a question of weapons of mass destruction. It's a question of overthrow of government. And if the people of Iraq are satisfied with their bad leader, in bracket, why must America say that they must overthrow that man? I believe very strongly that there is an almighty God who is watching from heaven. I don't think, however great a nation is, you have control of your destiny all your life. It was so in Egypt. They were ruling the world, they fell. It was so in Babylon. They were ruling the world, they fell. It was so in Rome. They ruled the world and fell. It was also so in Greece. They ruled the world. Alexander the Great conquered the whole world, but finally fell. America will fall unless they change their policy. I believe that Iraq should be ruled and governed by the people of Iraq. They must determine their own future, not by another government. America, the United States of America, to me, is going too far. And I, as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will lend my voice, our poor voice, to those who say that every sovereign country must be allowed to survive, even poor Iraq, as we are in Nigeria.
Mrs. Obasanjo, what's your perspective in respect of the United Nations and its restructuring or effectiveness for global peace?
We think in masses movement, and we hope that when we are elected in this next election, we will give all our total support to the United Nations. Although our priority is more at home than abroad, but we will bring in all the experts that we advise our government as to the best answers to all these world problems. Because we, especially the females, being in the majority, we are fed up with bloodshed. And we will make sure that all these ends, not only in the United Nations, but all over the world, because all women will be able to come together and make sure that we have peace all over.
Yeah, Mrs. Obasanjo, Nigeria is a key player in the Commonwealth of Nations. How best do you think that organization could solve the Zimbabwean and Sierra Leone crisis?
To solve that problem, I think the answer is what I've just stated. Let's bring in peace, unity all over the world, and to make sure everybody gets justice.
Chief Ajunwa,
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Nigeria is a key player in the Commonwealth of Nations. How best do you think that organization should solve the Zimbabwean and Sierra Leone crisis?
Yes, the crisis in Zimbabwe has to do with farmlands an insistence of government to redistribute the land. I believe in it because the white settlers got those lands at a time when Zimbabweans had no opportunity to be able to farm the way it's supposed to be. I believe very strongly that as a key player in the Commonwealth, as Nigeria is a major factor in the Commonwealth, we will make our view known that as much as possible, the white farmers who are there must be given opportunity to develop and to be able to make impact in the economy and have their lands the way they want. But also, the indigenes, the Zimbabweans, the black people who have been there should also be given an opportunity in an equitable way that there will be fair play, justice, and equity.
There must be a particular area of our debate so far that interests you particularly, that you'd like to expatiate on, Chief Ajunwa. Is there a particular area you want to talk about for Nigerians to get a whiff of what you'd like to do for them if you become president? In 2 minutes, please.
I believe very strongly that Nigeria is a great country. I believe very strongly that Nigeria has the human resources. I believe very strongly that Nigeria also is endowed heavily with resources, mineral resources. There is mismanagement in this country, total mismanagement. Mismanagement that has brought woes, untold woes to this country. And the issue of governance, therefore, must be based, not what you were before, in terms of, look, let's face it, if you look at the industrial development and human resource development these days, the age bracket has fallen. Look at our new banks. They are managed by young men. If you give it to these men who want to be president of this country now, over 60 years, there's no solution. They can't even manage their farms. I believe the Nigerian youths should be brought into place, into governance in this country. Since 1960 to date, the same people have been recycling without solution. There must be a reorientation of the voting populace in this country to ensure that new hands are brought on board. I believe very strongly that the corruption that is bedeviling this country is also by these same people who have held us bondage for these years. I believe, therefore, that our coming into this race is based on the fact that we want to bring the youth. That is why my running mate is a youth. Those people, the panelists, are youths. The people in the banking industry are youths. The youths are the pivot to the development of this country. They have not been so badly corrupted like the older ones who are retiring but will come back to hold us captive again. We must regenerate what the youths have for us in this country. It is very important. And that's why I believe that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria this time around is not going to be the so-called number one or the so-called number two, but a third force that will emanate from the blues. And I know that this will happen by the grace of God.
And Mrs. Obasanjo, is there a particular area of our debate also that you want to shed more light on?
As far as masses movement is concerned, what I would like to shed more light on are our programs. As I've already stated before, we want to make sure that security is our priority, followed by the independence of our judiciary and the health sector. Also, we in the masses, we want to give independence to our education. Education will be given pride of place in Nigeria. The basic education for all Nigerians will be extended to secondary schools and so on. We will make as many of our institutions that are more or less on bondage now independent.
Yeah, Mrs. Obasanjo, if the masses movement of Nigeria produces the next president, how would you handle the issue of resource control?
This resource control too, we come under independence, as we have been preaching, whereby every state of the federation will be independent. There will be no more governors going cap in hands to the center. Every state will be independent. Since independence, I think we are only hearing the word independent. We have never enjoyed independence in this country. We are going to make most of these other states independent so that they decide their fate themselves. They'll be able to, hold their own destiny in their own hands. We will want to bring all federal government something within the state under the governor, just for us to be disbursing as requested.
Chief Ajunwa, the Liberal Democratic Party of Nigeria, how would it handle the issue of resource control?
The Liberal Democratic Party of Nigeria has what it takes to tackle the issue of resource control. Resource control is a derivative of poverty. That word was manufactured to ensure that they used to defeat poverty. It's a derivative of want, of discrimination, of marginalization, of oppression, of suppression. I believe very strongly that if the problems of the people are solved, if hunger is taken care of, if the issue of marginalization is tackled, if there's equity, if there's justice, if there's fair play, nobody will be talking about resource control. But in a system where you come to a man's land and take his own resources and manage his own resources and tell him where to go and where not to go, and make him sick and make him totally as if he's not a human being. They now say we want to take hold of our resources because we are in hunger. I believe that resource control itself must be part of the economic program of the country. Once embedded into it, resource control will be no more.
Chief Ajunwa, a recurrent issue of national debate in Nigeria in the last couple of years has been the issue of a national conference and the possibility of the restructuring of Nigeria. What is the perspective of the Liberal Democratic Party about these recurrent problems of national debate?
It is bad government that has given birth to the issue of Nigerians crying for national conference. After all, let's face it, are we going to import new Nigerians to come and talk about Nigeria for us? It's the same Nigerians who are in the National Assembly, in the Senate, in the House of Reps. The same Nigerians will come again. Only they will come as representatives of ethnic groups. That is the only difference. But are we sure that we don't want Nigeria to be a one entity? I believe in Nigeria that Nigeria should be a one entity. It's the preponderance of our number. That's our greatness. It's the diversity of somebody. If you see a northerner is different from a southerner, that's our strength. And we must be able to encourage it positively to the advantage of Nigeria. I believe that once there is a bad government, once there is a corrupt government in place, those who want to enslave us, once they are in place, people will cry, we want to talk again. But I tell you this, we will come back to square one. I do not really encourage a situation where Nigeria is going to be divided into fragments. I believe in Nigerians coming together to talk and solve their problems as one united Nigeria. That is what we're about. The Liberal Democratic Party will encourage a system whereby the national unity of this country is not compromised, so that we can march forward as a great nation for the prosperity of our children unborn.
Mrs. Obasanjo, what is the perspective of the masses movement of Nigeria in respect of this agitation for a national conference and a possible restructuring of Nigeria?
I think the national conference, which I think Nigerians are asking for under this democratic government, I think is part of what brought us here today. Before, we could not do this type of thing. So the national conference is happening, but we know there are two types of national conference. We have the elitist national conference, which they are requesting for. We, the masses of this country, we believe that this democracy has already given us national conference because we are now free to talk on radio, on television, without being arrested. So as far as the national conference is concerned, I think the process is on.
Mrs. Obasanjo, in the last 3 years, there have been suggestions and sometimes agitations for the establishment of state police. If you win the next presidential election, would you support the establishment of state police?
We in masses movement of Nigeria, because we believe that democracy is foreign to us, and that's why we are having all these problems. Now, if the masses movement should win the next election, we will like to use the Americans, because I think we are copying the Americans in our democracy. But if you look at the old ground now, we are not copying the British that colonized us. We are not copying the Americans, and we are not copying our own indigenous method of administration. So now, if we win the next election, we will want to follow the American method. I think it's the American method that brought this type of something. And that's why I was saying the other time that, national conference, this is a civilized way of campaigning, not the old type, whereby, people will be, carrying axes and so on and so forth. Let's, please, when we are copying the Americans, let's do it the way the Americans do their thing. I'm not very sure as to the way the Americans manage their police something, but I know once we make each state independent, automatically it will affect the police as well.
Okay, Chief Ajunwa, what will be the attitude of your party to state police?
The Liberal Democratic Party is aware of the insecurity that is being caused by individual governors because of their greed, their avarice for power without borders. They just go ahead without control. A state police is a trap. It's a way to anarchy. It's a way to chaos. It's a way to national disintegration. And it is a thing that I will not even the countenance as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The present police as we have it is, if given the facilities, can be effective. All they need is training, encouragement, and empowerment to be able to perform their job. If you allow these governors to set up their police, all these murders will increase by whatever percent, God knows how. They will just come to your house and kill you and destroy you. That time it's not going to be armed robbery. It's the state police that will be doing the killing. How can we set up a state police in this type of country?
Yes, Chief Ajunwa, a recent report by the World Bank said over 50% of Nigeria's revenue is consumed in recurrent spending. That means that the cost of governance is very high in our country, and there's very little amount of resources left for national development. Now, if your party or you become the president of Nigeria come April, what would you do in terms of the balance between recurrent spending and capital resources for national development?
By the grace of God, I'm somebody who has traveled all over the world. I'm telling you, I am one of those who do not like protocol in the sense of it. I have capacity, if I want, to carry 100 people along if I want to do it. But sometimes you rarely see a difference between myself and my driver. The Nigerian government, you see a governor coming and you see lines of vehicles and all this is the money that is accruing from taxpayers' money. I was at liberty to go to Switzerland and I saw the Prime Minister of Switzerland, himself and his driver, and one protocol officer. And he drove and came in unnoticed. You would think it's just one of them, but they give effective delivery. Here, it is to play to the gallery. It is to line up the vehicles. And they consume all the money in protocol. As President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we're going to cut down protocol by 90% and give effective delivery to the Nigerians who are hungry and spend less of the money in protocol, and this showcase to the world that we are the only people who are there. I believe very strongly that this money, when channeled to the poverty-stricken Nigerians, they are going to get the best benefit out of it. And this is why we are saying that we want to cut off the old order and let there be a new emergence of leadership in this country so that Nigerians can now have a new lease of life.
Yes, Mrs. Obasanjo, what is your perspective in the area of the balance between recurrent spending in Nigeria and resources for national development if you come to power?
If masses movement of Nigeria should come to power come April 19, 2003, the economy would be diligently managed by getting the professionals with modern innovative ideas into our government agencies, like the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, and other private institutions shall be practically involved during the selection of ministerial appointments, etc. Also, the banking sector, the agricultural sector, and the industrial sector shall be encouraged to practically work together and become partners in the Nigerian economic's progress, as interest rate shall be reduced to a single-digit rate, while our currency shall be made stronger to compete with other world currencies, as it shall be driven on export-based policies. On the debt portfolio of our dear country, it is the belief of the Nigerian masses that debt owed to foreign countries are appropriated by making sure we get a settlement, something between us and them, whereby we can settle amicably. They have helped us by giving us money. I think we should not pay them the way the present government is doing.
Mrs. Obasanjo, Nigerian women have always claimed that they are marginalized. As one of the female presidential candidates, how are you going to ensure that this marginalization ends?
I think it's because of that I now volunteered to serve the masses of this country as their presidential candidate. In our movement, we practice volunteerism. And I feel that the women, especially the females in this country, they have been marginalized, majority of us from birth. And I think God has decreed it, that it's now time for the women of this country to lead. The men have been at it since Nigeria came into existence. We will make sure that we correct all the ills in our society, because it's women that are mothers. And we are the best managers anywhere. So we will make sure that all the problems of the females in this country are brought to an end.
Chief Ajunwa, do you believe that Nigerian women are marginalized, and how is your party going to address it?
Yes, this is an opportunity for me to pay tribute to the Nigerian woman who had contributed in no small measure to the development of this country positively. I believe that the women have been one of the key factors to the peace and stability of this country. For instance, it's only the women who did not directly participate in any of the coups that this country has staged. And I believe that the women should be given very key position with every single opportunity that should be given. I think that the women under the Liberal Democratic Party are going to get very key positions as a reward or as a recognition of the role they have been playing in the peace and stability and the development of our great country, Nigeria.
Yes, you have 2 minutes to deliver a closing speech to the viewers and the people who have been listening to you in the last 1 hour or so. Chief Ajunwa first.
Once again, Nigerians, we are going into democratically organized elections that are coming up. We hope May 19th this year. I believe very strongly that the government in place tried that it has done has nothing more to offer Nigerians. Nigerians have been in pain. Nigerians have been in trouble. Nigerian homes have been suffering. They have been in hunger. They have been in terrible anguish. There have been insecurity of life and property. Political assassinations are going greater and greater. The economy is playing down to almost zero level. The country's administration in terms of the civilian purposes that are working for government are in the lowest ebb of morale, and therefore Nigeria needs a change. A change that does not have to do with the North or the South, a change that has to do with a change of the old brigade to the new brigade. A change that has to bring about something that will help Nigeria reorientate itself, both economically, socially, and politically. A change that has to change the corruption that has almost destroyed the fabrics of our country. A change that must address the question of where people will take people's money and put in banks and deprive them of their payments to the extent that our security system, even the army, is a threat to national security. Because, I mean, come to think of a soldier who will never receive his salary for 3 years, he might want to go into subversion, and everybody will pay for it. This is the opportunity for Nigerians to create a change that will help this country. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Mrs. Obasanjo of the Masses Movement of Nigeria, you also have 2 minutes to make your closing remarks, please.
The masses of Nigeria, as a means of thanking our audience, both within and out of this country, I would like to make a closing remark with what we call the masses prayer. Oh God, give masses movement of Nigeria, men, women, and youths that money cannot buy. Our God, give us men, women, and youths that sex cannot lure. Heavenly Father, give masses movement, Nigerians that place our nation above self-interest. Merciful God, stop the tragedy of small minds in big positions. Give us Nigerians with big minds who think first of service to their fellow human being and less of what they would reap. Eternal God, guide us that those who should cultivate do not lay waste, that those who should guard should not plunder, that those who should harvest do not destroy. Omnipotent God, give masses movement of Nigeria and Nigerians in a whole, new breed of leaders and followers that will transform our great country, Nigeria, into paradise on earth. Amen, amen, and amen.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. There you heard it, the first in the series of presidential debates 2003. And the very first candidates who came in today are Chief Christopher Pere Ajunwa, the presidential candidate of the Liberal Democratic Party of Nigeria, and Miss Major Mojisola Obasanjo, the presidential candidate of the Masses Movement of Nigeria. We'd like to thank you very much for honoring our invitation and wish you success in your endeavors. Thank you very much.